First Contact and Initial Assault. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council erupted in chaos as emergency alerts flashed across every screen. Marcus, Earth's chief observer for over 3 centuries, stood before the assembled representatives of 100 species, his silver robes reflecting the pulsing red warning lights. The holographic display at the center showed what every council member had feared, a Dominion war fleet approaching Earth's solar system. "They wouldn't dare," whispered Council Speaker Reed, his usually steady voice trembling. "That's the preservation zone." Marcus stepped forward, his face grave. "Speaker Reed, honored council members, the Dominion fleet's trajectory is confirmed. They plan to use Earth's solar system as a staging ground for their next offensive. My latest reports indicate they've already sent advanced scouts past Jupiter and Saturn." The chamber erupted in panic. Some council members demanded immediate military intervention, others called for diplomatic action, and a few simply slumped in their seats, already imagining the catastrophe that would unfold. "Marcus," Reed called out over the chaos, "you've studied the humans longer than anyone. Tell us what happens if the Dominion makes contact." Marcus walked to the central display and pulled up his most recent report. Images of human cities, armies, and space stations filled the screen. "Humans have a unique characteristic among all known species," he explained. "They don't just adapt to survive, they adapt to win." He showed footage of human warfare throughout history, from ancient battles to modern conflicts. In just the past 3 centuries, they went from fighting with chemical-propelled metal projectiles to developing fusion drives and quantum computers. While we considered them primitive and kept them isolated, they were advancing at an unprecedented rate. Continued with detailed scenes of humanity's first response to the alien threat, the initial Dominion assault, and the devastating attack on the International Space Station. The section ends with Earth's military beginning their rapid adaptation to alien technology. Earth's first day among the stars had been baptized in fire. General Wilson stood in the command center, watching the tactical displays as reports of casualties and destruction poured in. But amid the chaos, something else was happening. Engineers were already dissecting fallen Dominion technology. Scientists were analyzing alien weapon signatures. Military strategists were identifying patterns in enemy tactics. "Send everything we've learned to all commands," Wilson ordered. "Today they taught us how they fight. Tomorrow, we teach them how humans fight back." In orbit, a Dominion commander watched in growing confusion as his perfectly executed tactical maneuvers failed against what should have been primitive human ships. These creatures weren't following any known combat doctrine. They were adapting, changing tactics mid-battle, using debris as weapons, and somehow learning shield frequencies far faster than they should. As the first day of battle drew to a close, humanity had lost over 60% of their space assets, but they had destroyed 3 Dominion ships and, more importantly, they had learned. The Dominion had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed to fight back, a reason to adapt and the tools to do it with. Marcus watched from the Council's observation post on Luna, his heart heavy with both dread and hope. He had spent centuries studying humans, documenting their progress, their conflicts, and their incredible ability to overcome any obstacle. Now, as he witnessed their first steps into galactic warfare, he realized that the Dominion had made a terrible mistake. They hadn't found an easy conquest. They had awakened a sleeping giant. The human factor. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a hastily converted military bunker designated as humanity's emergency command center, Dr. Sarah Miller stared at the holographic display of a captured Dominion fighter. Her team had been working non-stop for the past week, taking apart alien technology and putting it back together in ways its creators never imagined. "The beauty of it," she explained to General Wilson, pointing to a modified shield generator, "is their obsession with perfection actually makes them predictable. Every system, every circuit follows the same basic principles they've used for centuries." Wilson studied the rotating hologram, noting the areas where human innovation had already improved upon alien design. "And that's their weakness?" Their greatest one, Sarah confirmed, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. They've optimized their technology to such a degree that they've stopped innovating. But us? She gestured to a nearby workbench where engineers were combining Earth's quantum computing processors with Dominion power systems. We're just getting started. The emergency alert klaxon interrupted their discussion. On the main screen, new Dominion signatures appeared near Jupiter's orbit. But these weren't the same class of ships they'd faced before. Dreadnoughts, Marcus said from his position near the tactical display. The Council observer had remained on Earth to serve as an advisor, though lately he found himself learning more from humans than teaching them. The Dominion is escalating. Those ships carry enough firepower to level continents. Wilson's face hardened, but before he could respond, Sarah grabbed his arm. General, remember that project I said wasn't ready yet? It's ready now. The screen behind her lit up, showing what appeared to be ordinary Earth cargo ships. Except these vessels had been transformed. Their hulls bristled with hybrid weapons systems combining Dominion energy weapons with human targeting algorithms. Their engines pulsed with a strange blue light that seemed to flicker in and out of normal space. What am I looking at, Doctor? Sarah's grin was fierce. The future. We've cracked their FTL principles, but instead of copying their design, we took it in a new direction. These ships can make microjumps in the middle of combat. No one's ever tried that before because the Dominion's computers can't calculate safe trajectories fast enough. But ours can. Marcus stepped closer to the display, his silver robes rustling. That's impossible. The energy requirements alone were solved by running their power cores in parallel with our fusion reactors, Sarah interrupted. Like I said, they stopped innovating. We haven't. Wilson studied the tactical display where the Dominion dreadnoughts were advancing with inexorable precision. How many ships do we have ready? 12. We've been converting every cargo vessel we could salvage. The crews have been training in simulators, but this will be their first real combat, Wilson finished. He touched his comm unit. This is General Wilson to all commands. Execute Operation Prometheus. Across what remained of Earth's orbital infrastructure, cargo bay doors opened. Modified freighters, tankers, and mining vessels emerged, their hybrid drives humming to life. To the approaching Dominion fleet, they must have looked like easy prey. They were wrong. The first dreadnought opened fire with weapons designed to cut through planetary shields. The energy beam lanced across space, and hit nothing. The Earth ship had vanished, reappearing instantly behind the massive alien vessel. Human-designed weapons, powered by Dominion technology but guided by Earth's targeting systems, struck with surgical precision. They're targeting their power distribution nodes, Sarah observed, watching the battle unfold. Just like we practiced. The Dominion builds redundancy into everything, but they always use the same patterns. Marcus watched in astonishment as human vessels performed maneuvers that should have torn them apart. They made split-second FTL jumps, appeared in impossible positions, and struck with devastating accuracy. The Dominion fleet tried to adapt, but their responses were too rigid, too predictable. This isn't just adaptation, he whispered. This is evolution. 3 hours later, the massive Dominion dreadnoughts were in retreat, leaving behind 2 of their number as twisted debris fields in Jupiter's orbit. Earth's hybrid fleet had suffered losses, 4 ships destroyed, 3 heavily damaged, but they had achieved what the Dominion thought impossible. In the command center, Wilson received reports from the surviving ships while Sarah's team already analyzed data from the battle, looking for ways to improve their designs. Marcus stood quietly in the corner, composing a message to the Council that would shake the foundations of galactic society. The Dominion will return, he finally said. They've never faced defeat like this. Their entire civilization is built on the belief in their technological superiority. They won't be able to accept that a primitive species could beat them. Good, Sarah replied, not looking up from her work. Because we're not done improving yet. Those dreadnoughts showed us some interesting new technologies. Give us a week, and we'll have them figured out too. Wilson turned to Marcus. You know them better than we do. What happens next? The council observer was quiet for a long moment. The Dominion's leadership will see this defeat as an anomaly. They'll analyze your tactics, try to develop countermeasures. But they'll do it methodically, systematically. Predictably, Sarah interjected with a slight smile. Yes, Marcus agreed. They'll return with a larger fleet, new weapons, and a complete battle plan designed to counter everything you did today. But that's not how we fight, Wilson said, understanding dawning in his eyes. By the time they return, we'll be doing something completely different, Sarah finished. She finally looked up from her work, and her eyes were alight with possibilities. In fact, I have some ideas about those power cores we salvaged from the dreadnoughts. Who says FTL has to work the way they think it does? As Marcus listened to the humans discuss possibilities that had never occurred to the Council in centuries of space travel, he realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The Dominion had sought to conquer Earth. Instead, they had given humanity the keys to the stars. And humans, as they always did, were about to open doors no one else had imagined existed. Evolution of war. The Dominion High Command's war room sprawled across an entire asteroid, carved from dark matter-infused stone that absorbed all electromagnetic emissions. Admiral Vex, Supreme Commander of the Dominion's Third Expansion Fleet, faced the assembled War Council with barely contained rage. Impossible, he snarled, replaying the footage of their dreadnought's defeat. These primitives shouldn't even understand our basic shield harmonics, let alone be capable of. He gestured at the image of an Earth cargo ship performing a combat microjump. First Strategist Cora, her crystalline form reflecting the holographic displays, moved forward. The data is clear, Admiral. Not only did they understand our technology, they improved upon it. Our analysis shows their hybrid drives operate at 143% of our theoretical maximum efficiency. And now we've lost contact with our Mars base, another commander added. Complete communications blackout. They would soon learn why. On the red plains of Mars, Dr. Sarah Miller stood beside General Wilson, watching through her protective suit's visor as engineers swarmed over the captured Dominion base. The crystalline structures had been completely repurposed, their elegant forms now housing Earth's first off-world research and development facility. The quantum entanglement network is online, Sarah reported, checking readings on her augmented reality display. We're linked to all Earth facilities and the Luna shipyards. The Dominion won't be able to intercept our communications anymore. Wilson nodded, his expression grim. Good. Because our deep space arrays just picked up their response fleet. It's at least 3 times larger than our projections. Then it's time to show them Project Prometheus Phase 2. Sarah led the way into the repurposed base, through corridors that now hummed with a mixture of human and alien technology. They entered a vast chamber that had once been the Dominion's primary landing bay. It now housed something entirely new. We call it the Nexus Drive, Sarah explained, pointing to a massive ring-shaped device that dominated the chamber. It combines their quantum folding principles with our understanding of dimensional mechanics. Instead of moving through space, we move space itself, finished Dr. James Chen, Sarah's chief theoretical physicist. He emerged from behind a bank of hybrid computers, his face eager despite weeks of endless work. The Dominion's FTL technology is like pushing a needle through fabric. Ours is like folding the fabric itself. Marcus, who had been quietly observing from the sidelines, stepped forward. You've weaponized spacetime itself. Not weaponized, Sarah corrected. Revolutionized. This isn't just about the war anymore. With this technology, we can reach any point in the galaxy almost instantly. The possibilities for exploration, colonization. A warning klaxon cut her off. Wilson's comm unit crackled to life with an urgent transmission from Earth Defense Command. The Dominion fleet just emerged from FTL, a voice reported. They're deploying some kind of new weapon platforms. Energy signatures are off the charts. Wilson turned to Sarah. Is the Nexus drive ready? She shared a look with Chen. We've done simulations, but we haven't had time for a full-scale test. The Dominion's not giving us time, Wilson replied. Deploy everything we have. Activate all hybrid ships and get that drive online. Humanity just ran out of time to play it safe. Across the solar system, Earth's defenders mobilized. The converted cargo ships that had proven so effective before were joined by a new generation of vessels, purpose-built with hybrid technology. But the Dominion had learned too. Their new fleet moved with different tactics, their weapons specifically calibrated to counter Earth's previous advantages. They've adapted, Marcus observed from the Mars Command Center, watching the initial skirmishes. Just as you predicted. Sarah smiled. So have we. She activated the facility-wide comm, all stations, initiate Nexus protocol. Phase 2 begins now. The massive ring structure hummed to life, its inner circle filling with what looked like liquid starlight. Similar but smaller devices activated on Earth's hybrid ships, creating a network of quantum-linked spatial distortion points. The Dominion fleet pressed their attack, confident in their superior numbers and upgraded technology. Their new weapon platforms began charging, ready to release devastation on a scale that would crack planets. They never got the chance. Space itself seemed to ripple and fold. Earth ships didn't just make tactical micro-jumps now, they bent reality around themselves. They appeared simultaneously in multiple locations, their quantum-linked weapons firing through spatial distortions that ignored traditional defenses completely. Impossible, the Dominion Admiral whispered, watching his perfect formation dissolve into chaos. Their technology, it violates fundamental laws of physics. No, Sarah murmured, watching from Mars as humanity's greatest technological leap changed the face of warfare forever. We just found better laws. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. The Dominion's overwhelming force met humanity's reality-bending innovation, and the very fabric of space became a battlefield. Earth ships created spatial corridors that redirected enemy fire back at its source. The Nexus drive network allowed defenders to appear anywhere in the solar system instantly, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before the Dominion could respond. But it wasn't just the technology that gave humanity the edge. It was their willingness to try the impossible, to take risks that the Dominion's rigid tactical doctrine couldn't even conceive of, let alone counter. As the battle reached its climax, Marcus composed another message to the Galactic Council. But this time, it wasn't a warning about humanity's peril. It was a warning about humanity's potential. In trying to conquer humanity, he wrote, the Dominion has instead unleashed something unprecedented upon the galaxy. They sought to claim Earth's solar system as a strategic resource. Instead, they have given humanity the keys to unlock secrets that our civilizations never imagined. The question is no longer whether humanity will survive this war. He paused, watching as another Dominion dreadnought collapsed in on itself, caught in a web of spatial distortions that defied conventional physics. The question is, how will humanity's emergence change the very nature of galactic civilization itself? And are we ready for the answer? Ripples across the stars. The Galactic Council's emergency session stretched into its third day. Representatives from 1,000 worlds watched in stunned silence as Marcus presented the latest footage from Earth. The holographic display showed human ships using space itself as a weapon, creating quantum corridors that shouldn't have been possible according to any known physics. In 8 standard months, Marcus reported, humanity hasn't just mastered our technology, they've fundamentally changed it. The Dominion's latest offensive has been completely neutralized, and Earth's influence now extends beyond their solar system. Beyond their system? Council Speaker Reed interrupted. How far beyond? Marcus gestured, and the display zoomed out to show a network of quantum distortion points spreading outward from Earth like a spider's web. They're calling it the Nexus Network. Each point serves as both a transportation hub and a defensive position. They can move ships, resources, even whole space stations through it instantly. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some members demanded immediate intervention to stop humanity's expansion. Others called for diplomatic relations and technology exchange agreements. A few simply sat in shocked silence, realizing that the galaxy's balance of power had shifted irreversibly. Meanwhile, in deep space, the crew of the Earth ship Prometheus made first contact with a civilization that wasn't trying to kill them. Captain Elena Santos stood on her bridge, watching as the alien vessel, sleek, organic-looking, and completely unlike Dominion design, approached under a flag of truce. "They're calling themselves the Drift," her communications officer reported. "They've been fighting the Dominion for generations, hiding in the spaces between stars. They want to know how we broke the Dominion's hold on our sector so quickly." Elena smiled, remembering the recent battle that had sent the latest Dominion fleet retreating in disarray. "Open a channel. Tell them we're interested in sharing technology and stories." Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Miller led a team that was pushing the boundaries of what was possible even further. The Mars facility had expanded into a sprawling research complex, where human scientists worked alongside the first defectors from the Dominion, engineers and researchers who could no longer deny that their civilization's path of rigid advancement had reached its limits. The quantum entanglement principle isn't just for communication or transportation, Sarah explained to General Wilson and a group of alien scientists. "We're learning to manipulate the fundamental forces that bind reality together. The applications go far beyond warfare." She activated a demonstration, and the air itself seemed to crystallize around them. Imagine controlled environmental bubbles that could terraform planets instantly. Shields that don't just deflect energy, but redirect it into useful forms. "We're not just changing how we travel through space, we're changing how we interact with the universe itself." The implications weren't lost on the Galactic Council. As reports flooded in from across known space, it became clear that humanity's emergence had triggered a cascade of changes. The Drift weren't the only species reaching out to Earth. Other civilizations that had lived under Dominion's shadow began to stir, emboldened by humanity's success. Marcus found himself in a unique position, no longer just an observer but a bridge between Earth and the wider galaxy. He watched as human diplomats, engineers, and explorers began spreading throughout known space, bringing with them not just new technology, but new ways of thinking. "They're calling it the Great Awakening," he reported to the Council. "Humanity's influence is causing a fundamental shift in how species interact with each other and with technology itself. The rigid hierarchies and technological determinism that have dominated galactic society for millennia are breaking down." "And the Dominion?" Reed asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "Their latest intelligence suggests they're mobilizing for one final, massive offensive," Marcus replied. "They've committed their entire reserve fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every resource they have. They see this as an existential crisis, and perhaps it is, for their way of life. But humanity wasn't waiting for the Dominion to make their move." The Nexus network continued to expand, each node now hosting not just military assets but research stations, diplomatic outposts, and trading hubs. Earth ships had begun exploring regions of space that the Dominion had deemed too dangerous or difficult to access, using their reality-bending technology to go where no one had gone before. "We've received reports of human vessels in the void sectors," one council member announced, referring to areas of space where normal physics seemed to break down. "They're not just surviving there, they're establishing permanent presences." This news sent fresh waves of shock through the council. The void sectors had been considered permanently off-limits, too dangerous for any known technology to safely navigate. But humanity, with their quantum manipulation technology and their eternal drive to explore, had found ways to not just survive but thrive in these impossible spaces. As the Council debated how to respond to these developments, Earth's influence continued to grow. The Prometheus and her sister ships made contact with dozens of new civilizations. Each encounter brought new knowledge, new perspectives, and new possibilities for collaboration. Sarah Miller's team, now spread across multiple research facilities throughout Earth's expanding sphere of influence, continued to push the boundaries of what was possible. Their latest breakthrough promised to revolutionize not just space travel, but the very way living beings interacted with the fundamental forces of the universe. "We're not just changing technology," she explained to a gathered group of scientists from a dozen different species. "We're changing how we think about what's possible. And that, more than any weapon or defense system, is what the Dominion fears most." As the galaxy braced for the Dominion's final offensive, humanity prepared not just to defend itself, but to demonstrate once and for all that the future belonged not to those who could perfect existing systems, but to those who could imagine entirely new ones. The dawn of a new era. The Dominion's final offensive began not with a bang, but with a silence. Every quantum sensor, every deep space array, every monitoring station across human space went dark simultaneously. In Earth's Combined Defense Command, alarms blared as the entire Nexus network suddenly disappeared from their screens. "They found a way to disrupt our quantum fields," Dr. Sarah Miller announced, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "It's elegant, actually. They've created a cascading resonance that's collapsing our entire network." General Wilson watched as humanity's greatest defensive asset vanished. "How long to get it back online?" "That's the wrong question," Sarah replied, a familiar gleam in her eyes. "The right question is, what did we learn while they were trying to copy our technology?" Across human space, the Dominion fleet emerged from FTL in perfect formation, over 10,000 ships, the combined might of their entire civilization. Their new flagship, a vessel the size of a small moon, led the charge. They expected to find human forces in disarray, cut off from their revolutionary transport network. Instead, they found something else entirely. "Now," Sarah commanded. The space around the Dominion fleet rippled, but not from any human ship or station. Reality itself seemed to flex and bend, as if the fundamental forces of the universe had decided to join the battle. The Dominion's carefully planned formation found itself trapped in a maze of spatial distortions that hadn't been created by technology at all. While they were studying our Nexus network, Sarah explained to the stunned observers in the command center, "We were learning how to manipulate spacetime directly. No technology required. Just pure understanding of how reality works." Marcus, watching from his position among Earth's leaders, finally understood. "You let them think they were catching up, copying your advances. While we moved on to something completely new," Wilson finished. Standard human tactics. The battle that followed would be remembered not as a clash of fleets, but as the moment galactic civilization changed forever. Human ships emerged from seemingly empty space, their new drives not requiring any network to bend reality. The Dominion's disruption field proved useless against technology that wasn't technology at all, but rather direct manipulation of the universe's basic forces. But humanity didn't just fight. Even as their forces engaged the Dominion fleet, other ships reached out to the enemy's rank and file. The message they broadcast was simple: there is another way. On the Dominion flagship, Admiral Vex watched in horror as nearly a third of his fleet suddenly broke formation. Ships crewed by younger officers, engineers who had seen humanity's achievements, scientists who had glimpsed new possibilities, they turned away from the rigid path that had defined their civilization for so long. "You don't understand," Vex transmitted to the human forces. "Our way is perfect. We achieved the pinnacle of technological evolution. There is nowhere else to go." "That's exactly the problem," Sarah's voice replied across all frequencies. "You stopped looking for new ways. You stopped imagining possibilities. You achieved perfection, and then you stopped growing." The final battle lasted less than an hour. The Dominion's remaining loyal ships fought with perfect precision, following battle plans honed over centuries. Human forces fought with constant innovation, each ship adapting new tactics on the fly, working with the very fabric of spacetime in ways that had never been imagined before. In the end, Admiral Vex's flagship stood alone, surrounded not just by human vessels but by ships from dozens of species, former Dominion subjects, the Drift, and others who had joined humanity's growing alliance. "Surrender," Wilson transmitted. "Not to us, but to the future. Join us in exploring what's possible instead of clinging to what you think is perfect." In the silence that followed, the galaxy held its breath. Then, slowly, the massive Dominion flagship powered down its weapons. Not in surrender, but in recognition that an era had ended, and a new one had begun. 1 year later, the Galactic Council convened again, but not in their traditional chamber. They met on a space station orbiting Earth, built with technology that blended the best innovations from 100 worlds. Representatives from former Dominion worlds sat alongside their once enemies, all working together to explore the possibilities that humanity had shown them. Sarah Miller, now leading a multi-species research initiative, demonstrated their latest breakthrough, a way to create stable wormholes that could connect any 2 points in the galaxy instantly, without the need for massive energy expenditure or complex technology. Marcus, watching the proceedings, composed his final report as Earth's observer. "In trying to preserve the galaxy's stability by keeping humanity isolated, we nearly prevented the greatest advancement in our history. The Dominion sought to perfect technology through rigid advancement. Humanity showed us that true perfection lies not in reaching a final state, but in never-ending growth and adaptation." He looked out at the Earth below, now a shining beacon of innovation and cooperation in a transformed galaxy. Ships of all designs moved through space in ways that would have seemed impossible just years before. Research stations probed the mysteries of reality itself. And everywhere, species that had once been separated by rigid hierarchies worked together, learning from each other, growing together. "The age of technological determinism is over," he wrote. "The age of infinite possibility has begun. And humanity, with their unique gift for adaptation and innovation, will lead us all into a future that none of us could have imagined." As if to emphasize his words, a new kind of ship appeared outside the station, one that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, using principles that blended technology with direct manipulation of universal forces. On its hull, marked in multiple languages, was its name, Prometheus Unbound. The future, uncertain but full of possibilities, beckoned. And humanity, along with their new allies, prepared to answer its call, not with perfect plans or rigid advancement, but with endless adaptation, constant innovation, and the unshakable belief that there was always another way forward, always another mystery to solve, always another boundary to push. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what made it perfect.